Mats fans, welcome back to the Two Must Hockey Podcast presented by Kentwood Ford. I'm your host, Joshua Marshall, and we have a very special guest with us today, Friday, as the draft is about to start. But we're going to go down a different path. We're going to talk some hockey. We're going to talk some CFL. But our next guest is a leader in the community. He is James H. Brown. This is Trent Brown. He's a CFL champion. Won a Grey Cup in 1993 and a two-time All-Star at the safety position. And as Bob Stauffer says, probably the best player to come out of the Alberta Golden Bears program as a football player. And again, going back to the great community work, we like to welcome Trent Brown to the Two Months Podcast. Trent, how's it going?
Going awesome, Bosco. How are you doing today?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Obviously, pretty. It's gonna be a pretty good night. The draft is here, and that's obviously a special moment. And we know the Vernon Fiddler family. I don't know if you've known Vernon through your paths in the city, but just his son's gonna get drafted, so it's a bit of a tie to us and a few other kids that we know there too. But just hockey's fun, and it's the silly season, as they like to say. But how are things with you guys?
Really good. We're really busy at work. The family's keeping me busy. My three girls. I'm always running. I feel like I'm a part-time Uber driver, but a little bit sad, obviously, after the Oilers losing and Kane are now gone. But hopefully the Elks can get things turned around. It's like you shift from one sport to the next. So sad to let one go, but excited to start watching some football.
Yeah, for sure. And we're going to get into a lot of that here and the pressures of being a professional athlete, but also the pressure of being in the business sector too. But I wanted to get your thoughts, obviously, Evander Kane first and foremost. That's someone that you guys got to know and you got to know very well. Stoff said it pretty well that you guys are probably hurting today because and hurting the last couple of days because of the relationship you had. But can you talk about that first interaction you had with Evander and how that was able to blossom into what it has been and the way you guys were able to kind of touch a lot of lives in the community as well too.
Yeah, the first time I met Kaner, like I've been watching him play hockey for a long time, but it was in a golf tournament, and we played together, and we did quite well. We hit it off on a personal level. I like the maturity and the humor that he brought. He had played a few years in the league. I think he had 13 or 14 at that time, but and uh, and what I found with him was just a real willingness and a love for kids. And we do a lot of community outreach and work with kids. And I've never met a professional athlete, especially a hockey player here in Edmonton, that had the willingness that he did to do anything that I ever asked of him, as long as it had something to do with kids. And just to give you an example of the kind of heart that this guy had, was he was coming back on a plane from Vancouver. I had asked him to come and play in a Stollery Hospital fundraiser, and he was very busy. His plane landed at noon, and I got a text from him, and he goes, "I just landed, and I know I told you that I wasn't going to make it, but," he said, "heck of it. It has something to do with kids." He says, "I'm going to be there." And he came straight from the airport, and came right to this tournament to chat with the kids on holes and just to be there because he knew that it was a fundraiser for kids that needed help. I can't count the number of times that I asked him to do something, whether I had kids, disadvantaged kids, I had native kids at a hockey game, I had a girls team at a hockey game one time, and he came out right after the game, and he took about an hour. He signed autographs, he took pictures with all of the kids. Um, that Christmas shop idea was an idea that he talked to me about the first time that I met him. And we just made it happen, and it was all his idea. And, we did that for 3 years, and eventually the Oilers Community Foundation got involved in that. But the work that he does with kids, the stuff that he does with Cecily, his humor, we just hit it off. Uh, because we both like to do the same stuff. We both have a love for golf. And and I was really disappointed to see him traded. I feel like, especially watching the playoffs this last year, that the referees were out for him. Like, I mean, that guy, that cross check in front of the net, he got to stick up on a couple of those calls were okay. And I hate to complain about the refs, but I feel like the refs did him wrong. They look for him out there. He is a physical guy. I also feel like the coach shouldn't have benched him, shouldn't have put him on, because I think that he brings something to this team that they desperately needed. He plays with an edge. He has a swagger about him. He has a belief in himself that at big moments that he's going to make big plays. And that first run that they had in the playoffs, the guy wasn't even on the power play, and he led all scorers. They never even made it to the finals. The first year that he was here, led all scorers in the playoffs in goals, and wasn't on the number one PP. And I don't think that's ever been done in the history of the league, that a guy has led the NHL playoffs in scoring goals and wasn't on the number one PP, and probably didn't get as much ice as a lot of other guys too. But he is gone. That's hockey. That is a business. I've had a chance to chat with him and exchange some text, and he isn't leaving Edmonton. He is going to be here for the summer, and I think that he'll make this his home. Vancouver is a good place for him to play. Obviously, he has his family there. Both his mom and his dad will be happy, because they'll be able to watch their son a lot more than they get a chance to when he's here. But I'm going to miss him. I'm going to miss the work that he does in the community. Um, and that those are my thoughts about him. I uh, I really like him as an athlete and as a player. I think that on a team you need all types of different people, and I like what he brought to the table.
Yeah, yeah. You know what, Trent, is very beautiful words. And there was a kid, the first event that you guys did with the Christmas shopping idea. I was coaching a kid at the time, when that event went on, and he went to that event, and the stories he told at practice to us and our kids the next day, because we heard about kind of what happened. And he wanted to share the moment that he got that day and how important that was. I think there was some talk about when you guys presented the gift cards to the kids, a lot of the kids went over to the grocery section instead of the toy section, and then you guys kind of verted back and said, no, we're going to take care of groceries and the toys as well at the same time. And just that alone, I don't know if you want to collaborate that story, but just that story alone says a lot about you and says a lot about the character Evander Kane is. And I think he's misunderstood. I've told him this through a message on Twitter, that I think he's misunderstood. I think, I even think yesterday at his press conference in Vancouver was good, but I think some of the media were obviously a little bit of it trying to, jab at him a little bit. And I think he was great in the way he stood his firmness, stood
Mm,
his ground. And, you are right. There's no one in the history of the game in the playoffs that led in scoring. And he was even robbed out of the round because obviously he lost against Colorado that round. He still led in scoring when all four rounds were done, and he never saw
that's right.
one unit of the power play. So, I don't think he got the right end of the stick here in Edmonton. That's just my personal opinion, and not to create anything. I do think I do think wrongfully he was treated in terms of certain aspects with maybe the coaching staff or whatnot. And definitely you can see I always feel like since this whole like COVID thing that happened with him, with this vaccine stuff that happened back before he kind of came here, I feel like the league's kind of been out to get him. And it's pretty evident like that was an awful cross check on call that Gustav Forsling just flopped and fell down. And that changed the series and changed the momentum of a game. And it's not fun. It's like, it's not what you want. Like I just played a rec hockey game last night and it's the same thing. It's just the game's
Yeah.
going good. And then you just, a little call here and there changes the whole trajectory of
It
the game, right?
like you're talking about the Stanley Cup Finals here, and the number of calls that they miss from them, they don't ever miss anything that he does, even when it's not a penalty.
Yeah.
And it's pretty frustrating for me as a friend, but I can tell you that I had supper with his dad before it was game five here, Perry, and he feels a lot of frustration. He feels like like he is a marked man, and it's a tough way to have to play. I like his attitude. He never lets anything get him down. He's unapologetic for the way he plays. There's not a lot of guys um, that are willing to go toe to toe with him, and I think that he buys the skill guys a lot of space out there on the ice. He plays with reckless abandon. He hits, he sacrifices his body, and he's been pretty beat up here. But that's a guy that you ask anybody that's out on the ice with him, and they want to play with him. And if you watch him when he's on the bench, he works the gate. He stands up for the whole game. He never sits down. And that is a guy that gets better with the more ice that you give him too. So I personally don't think that he got enough ice here. Uh, I think the Oilers, once they signed Fredericks, the writing was on the wall that they were going to get rid of Kaner. They needed to free up some cap space. But you need guys like that. You need gritty guys.
I wonder,
And
I wonder if
guys,
it's going to circle back and get him, in a year from now. Because like Craig Button said on our podcast on Sports Center, Senator Rob, he said like this is a mistake. Like this is something that you don't do. You let Fogle go, you let McLeod go, you let all these other guys go, and you didn't bring anything in for a return. And I wonder if it's like, yeah, they're in a tough cap crunch now. That cap's going to go up in a year from now. He has set up roots. Like he wants to be here. He's done more community work here than anyone has ever done in his time at Edmonton, and that's just a fact. That's not just me
yeah,
kind of pump his tires. I've said it on social media. He hasn't. Like he has. Like
yeah.
it's just
So,
yeah, yeah.
and what a lot of people don't realize is a lot of the stuff no one even sees.
Correct. Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, like when I go to games, you see every guy rush by because they don't want to, you know, sign an autograph for a handicapped kid and there's one guy that stops every time,
Yeah.
and it's him. He stops for a picture, he stops for an autograph, he takes the time, and I just always respected that about him. Um, and
Yeah, we
and
heard that. We heard that too. There's stuff that you don't report on, right? Or you don't see that doesn't get.
Well, there is no one around, right? And like the stuff that he did for me, I never put a lot of that stuff on social media. The stuff when I'd ask him to come, and like I'd have a buddy or I'd have a client, you know, I had a native client that was in town that had his skull crushed, and and um and Evander Kane was his favorite player, and he came out and he signed a jersey and he went out of his way. And so the stuff that you were talking about too, about that Christmas shop, all of that was his idea. So we always tried to identify 5 or 6 kids that were special, whether it was their heart, whether they were, because we would give them gift cards for $250 to go shopping in the toy department. And so some kids go and they get groceries for their family, or they go and they get gifts for their siblings. He always wanted to recognize that part, the big heart in those kids. And so we gave them a little bit of a special experience where he wanted to give them a jersey and just let them know that he sees them. And like, he has been through stuff in his life, and I think that informs what he does. And so he recognizes kids that are going through challenges and that have been through challenges, and I think that he identifies with them. And I think that's sort of why we hit it off too. I have never really had a linear path in my life. Life can be a roller coaster, and as you go through life, you go through battles. And I think that he identifies with people that are going through battles, that have gone through battles, and and he wanted to make those kids feel seen,
Yeah.
because of the people that they were, notwithstanding the stuff that they had gone through in life. And and so if you go on the internet, you can see a lot of bad stuff written about Evander Kane, but I can tell you something, that guy's got a heart the size of a mountain, and the stuff that he does with kids that I've seen is he's changing lives,
Yeah.
and helping kids in a way like I had never seen. So
Yeah.
respect.
Yeah. Are you guys going to still keep that partnership, knowing he'll stay roots here in Edmonton throughout the summer
So
and stuff
yeah,
like that? I guess if that, I know fans are going to want to know that. They're want to.
yeah. So look at, if Keener ever wants to do anything out in the community, he can pick up the phone anytime and find me. What's happened is now that's got a life of its own. The Oilers Community Foundation picked up on it, and they may run with it. Keener obviously won't be around here, but if the schedule happens to match up, then we're absolutely in. I don't think the Oilers can do it with him anymore, but I would certainly be happy to. We we also started one with the Elks now too, where we do the same thing with the Elks. We get a bunch of their players out, and we take a bunch of sort of disadvantaged kids um, out at Christmas time to spread the love around. Um, but Kaner's one of a kind, man, and I feel privileged to have met the guy. I wish him well out in Vancouver. And something that a lot of people don't know about him too is how close his family is. So when his kids have birthdays, his sisters, his mom and dad, they always fly out, and it's not full of a bunch of NHL stars. He has a few close friends that he invites with their families, and we're able to go and just share some laughs all under the radar. And I have three young kids, 7, 4, and 3, and they're all girls, and they call him Uncle, and he's unbelievable
Yeah.
with those kids. It's
Quite
it's
remarkable, isn't it?
yeah,
So
it's wicked. It's
yeah,
wicked.
yeah,
It's awesome.
yeah. Just yeah, it's very well said by you. And I thought, as soon as this happened and listening to Stoffer, just I know that you're big in the community, and you're working with a lot of these radio stations and these other places, and just kind of where does that go? We'll transition over to that. What and a lot of it is you just talked about why you probably want to do it, but more importantly, how awesome is it, and what kind of rewards do you get in a way of self awards of just filling up your heart, filling up your soul, and then just having those smiles and changing lives in a way with what you guys do at James H. Brown. We know the Ben Stelter family very well too, and Mike, and you've done amazing work with them as well too, and just why that is so important to you guys at James H. Brown.
Well, we have the philosophy here that the more you give, the more you get, and it's working well. Like there's no feeling like giving back to especially here to this community that's given us so much and my family so much. Um, when you're lucky and you're fortunate, we just think that you have a responsibility, because as it, and I think something that helps is when you've gone through stuff in life, when you've had people that have given you a hand up, right? And certainly I've been very lucky, and I've been surrounded by good people, and I've had a hand up lots of times in my life. And so I'm always willing to reach a hand out and give a hand up to those people that need it. I really believe that's what makes this the city of champions, is the spirit that we have here, the love we have, the help we have in the community. You look at the kind of money that can be raised at any golf tournament, community event, and I have a lot of friends that are business owners also that do the same thing. And when like-minded people get together, and you're all doing it for the right reasons, you can move mountains, and that's what it's all about. Looking at the look in in a child's eye when you're able to give them an experience, or or help somebody. There's nothing like it in the world. And a guy said to me one time that money can only make you happy if you give it away. And I never forgot that, because there's no better feeling than than sort of giving to people that are less fortunate than you. So
Make a difference, not just a living, right? So there's that.
changing lives, bro. That is what it's about, right? We are all here living the human experience. We're
Yeah,
all the same, man,
yeah,
right? We're
yeah,
just all the same. And some of us are luckier, some of us are, but we're all the same. And nothing feels better than realizing that we're all brothers. We're all brothers and sisters living this game of life.
yeah. Yeah, you got that right, Trent. You definitely do. It's yeah, I went through some stuff in my life, and my dad killed himself when I was 14 years old, and I found
Wow.
him dead 2 days before Christmas, and I was 14 years old, and you just go through ups and downs in life in terms of trying to find out where your path is, and when I that's kind of why we started this podcast in 2018, to just try to help with mental health and try to help give back and put smiles on faces. And we got a media pass with the Calgary Flames. Several years ago, I got to meet Travis Hamonic, who I think is a guy that you would like if you ever had a chance to meet him, because he does a lot of work with Indigenous kids as well too. He's Indigenous as well, and just giving back. And he meets a lot of kids that have lost a parent. And I met him when I was 33. And just he helped change my life. And I just remember the kid that met Evander Kane, and that kid was going through some struggles, and we were trying to help him the best way. And whatever impact and whatever moment those two guys shared, and I think you were there for that moment too. I don't want to say the kid's name, obviously, but that changed that kid's life, and that kid became a better hockey player and listened a lot more in life. And every time I see him, he's killing it now. He plays in the GPHL, the league that Sean Bell runs. Like, he's doing a lot of great work himself and trying to find ways to get back at a young age, because he learned it from someone at an older age. And you and Evander. So just tying it
And
back
bro,
to that. Yeah.
hey, throw your name in there too, because um, as men, sometimes it's hard to talk about things that we've gone through in life, and you're helping people by sharing your own experience, and it takes courage to do that, but it's honest,
Yeah.
and and I can see your face and I can feel the emotion when you share that, and I'm sorry that you had to go through that, but it's made you stronger, and it's given you a gift now that you can help other people that
Yeah.
maybe go through the same thing that you went through, bro. And
Yeah.
that's what you're doing. And so when you point the finger at Evander and me and say the stuff that we're doing, point at yourself too, because you were doing the same thing.
Thanks, Browner. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
we'll move over just another couple more topics to hit on here before we get you out. You obviously played it in the CFL at the high level. You won a Grey Cup, two-time All-Star at the position that you held down for such a great time in the CFL, and obviously at the Alberta Golden Bears. But can you talk about the pressures as a professional athlete, about winning, expectations, making, pleasing organizations, fans, and also doing the same in the position you're in today, where you're leading the best injury lawyer firm in the city and in the province of Alberta too, and how you manage that and deal with that on a daily basis?
Oh boy. So yeah, sport, there's always a lot of pressure. There's always a lot of pressure to perform. I mean, if you don't perform, then there's somebody that's going to take your job that's waiting for you to make a mistake. And so the bigger the game, the bigger the lights, the more pressure that's on you. Guys like uh Kaner, and I'd like to think myself when I played, and certainly the CFL isn't the NHL, but there was a little bit of pressure there. Um, we I like to think that I embrace the pressure, that it makes me better. I like playing under the lights, and I think that Kaner is the same way, right? And I played golf with him, and if you make him a bet on a shot, he's way more likely to make that shot if you were betting something, if he's got some skin in the game, and And that's what great athletes do. Like there's some athletes that rise up in big games, and those are the athletes that embrace the pressure. And you've always got nerves and stuff, but you learn to love it if that's what you do. Part of being a leader is loving that pressure, is knowing, having a feeling deep inside that the bigger the game, the better you are going to perform and play. And then when you do it once, you can build on it. You can do it twice, but also recognizing that failure is part of life, man, and that you're not going to win it all. You're not always going to score. You're not always going to be the best, and realizing that it's not the end of the world. Michael Jordan had a lot of comments on that, the number of shots he missed, but you just move on, and because you are going to miss shots, and part of learning is failing, and you got to get better. That is why a lot of these teams, like the Oilers, you got to go to a cup once, you got to go to a cup twice, even the great teams back in the 80s, before you learn what it takes to win. And like I still think, and I still have hope that this team is going to win. But there's a lot of luck. You got to stay healthy. Like that loss of Hyman last year really hurt this team. But the pressure of running a law firm, like if you surround yourself with good people, then good things are going to happen. And there's the most pressure that I put on myself is honestly to be a good father. So I have three young girls of my own, and you know, you can plan and you can prepare your whole life, but nothing ever goes how you plan it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Well, there's
Like,
that saying, "You plan, God laughs," and
yeah, right.
yeah,
But so you've always got to be nimble, man. Like you always got to be ready to adapt. You always got to be ready to change and shift. Like in law and in football, like one of the biggest things is reading, is reading what the other team, what your environment is doing, and being able to adjust and adapt to that. And when I look back at the Oilers run, I think that's one thing where they fell short. I don't think that they adapted to the forecheck of Florida. Like in sports, you have to be able to be nimble and change and adapt to what's happening on a real-time basis. And in my opinion, this team was out-coached, they were out-managed, and they really didn't adapt well. And so when it comes to pressure, you just got to be nimble.
yeah,
You have to be willing to adapt, and you got to be willing to make a play. You got to be the guy to make a play. Don't be a bystander. Don't be a watcher. Make it yourself. And I felt like every guy on that Oiler team didn't feel like they had to make the difference. There wasn't a sense of desperation or urgency there. And if I was a coach, I would have been calling guys out right to their face.
yeah.
And I don't think that our coach had that personality, and I think it hurt him when push came to shove.
Is the other end, Paul Maurice probably would have done that or had been doing.
100% he would.
Yeah.
And Kaner loved
Yeah.
Paul Maurice. He coached him in Winnipeg,
Yeah.
and he used to tell me all the time that and like when you look at a 1-goal loss in a Stanley Cup final, like last year in Game 7, 1 goal,
Yeah.
that coach makes that difference, putting the pressure on the refs,
Yeah.
inspiring the guys in the locker room. And I think we need that more from our bench, putting the pressure on the refs to get called instead of benching your guy that was playing too aggressive, you
Mhm.
know, or maybe took a penalty. You put the heat on the ref, you know, you're ruining the game. You
Well,
keep calling,
you let the ref win in that moment because you let the
right?
ref dictate that
That
you're going to take
a
your top
hundred
player out of
percent,
the game,
a
right?
hundred percent. And I say, fuck the ref.
Yeah, yeah,
Come on,
exactly.
man.
Yeah,
You got to put the heat on the ref and let him know that was the wrong call. You're ruining the game.
yeah,
And we're going to come out there and keep hitting,
yeah.
laying body checks. You can't ruin a game like that. Anyway, sorry, now I'm ranting.
No, no, it's all good. It's passion and it's what you want. You want to see that. And you know, Connor said it. Hey, the captain of the team said it after this cup final was over. We kept doing the same thing and banging our head against the wall because they
Yeah,
weren't changing any systems. They weren't changing any, you know,
yeah,
plays. They weren't changing nothing. They just kept rolling out the same thing. And that obviously got Connor frustrated. And I would expect other people frustrated too. So And there's guys. Hey, look, I understand Brady Tkachuk wants to fight, and Matthew Tkachuk wants to talk, and never want to fight, right? And just how things go in that aspect in there. But we'll finish up on the Elks. Just to get a quick thought on that before we get you out of here, Trent, and where you think the direction of the organization's going, bringing back a lot of some old faces, and there's some new faces there, and new ownership. And do you expect maybe the name to go back to the Eskimos at some point here?
I think it will, and I am one of the few. A lot of guys say that I'm nuts, but I used to wear that name as a badge of honor. And I think if you do it the right way, if you fly the leaders in and you let them make the decision, you fly the Inuk leaders in, the Chiefs, and you say it's not our decision, it's your decision. And if they give you the blessing, then I don't think that anybody can say anything. But regardless of the name, yeah, like I think they've got the right guys in place to bring the tradition back, to bring the winning tradition back. They've struggled this year. I think they saw a lot of good things in that game last night. But Chris Morris, Ed Hervey, Mark is the head coach. These are all guys that know what it takes to win, that know how to build a football team. It's not going to happen overnight. There might be a few pieces that they still need to change, but this team has already made strides, big strides in the right direction. And they've got an owner that's willing to put some money in to it. They brought Dwayne back. They righted some wrongs. And I can't wait to see this team win, because winning will fix a lot. You can see that it looks like the CFL is alive and well in Winnipeg. And a lot of people question if there's a future in the CFL. And that is a big question, but fuck, it's, pardon my language, it seems to be doing well in Winnipeg. And I think that it can do well here in Edmonton. I've been a big supporter of the team. I was going to pull our sponsorship this year, but Chris Morris came and he said, Brownie, give me 2 more years and we'll turn this thing around. And so for him, I did. I played with Chris. The guy's got heart. The guy's got a work ethic like no other person I've ever met. And I think they've got the pieces in place to hopefully we are making a bid for the Grey Cup in 2027. I think this team can be there. And I always believe, bro, because if you believe, great things can happen. You gotta believe.
You gotta believe. Yes, yes. All right. Well, I'll finish up on this one. Dano, what a beauty this guy is. I worked with him back in the bar industry, and obviously he's there grinding with you guys. I don't know if I think you guys are related or just really close friends. I don't know the exact closeness relationship you guys have, but a beauty in his own is good old Dano, isn't it?
Dano's a beauty. He's working for me here. He is my cousin. He just completed law school. He gets his call to the bar coming up, and he's going to be a real good lawyer. One of the most important things about being a lawyer is being good with people, and he's real good with people.
Yeah.
And as you know, if you know him, so love having him here at the office. Got him doing 100 million things. Dan O'Mel's from the old bar days was at the ranch.
Yeah, the old ranch. Yeah.
No, and he is working here, and he's going to do a hell of a job for us.
Yeah, he 100% is. All right, Trent. Well, thanks for your time. I hope we can do this again. It would be awesome to kind of go down some memory lane roads again down the road here. But I appreciate you taking the time to talk about Evander and all the great other things that you guys have been able to do in the community. So the best of luck to you guys going forward.
Thank you so much. It was absolutely my pleasure. And I wish you all the best, brother, and I'll do it again anytime you need me. Call me anytime. Cheers.
Cheers.